Well, welcome to another episode of the More Than a Game podcast. I'm your host, Dan Walls, and I'm so glad that you can join me for another episode of this podcast as we seek to unearth key virtues and themes around life and around leadership. And we do so once again by looking through the lens of Australian basketball and diving into some of the stories, the history of the sport in this country. And with me on the podcast today is NBL Hall of Famer Cal Bruton, and if you have been around the sport for a while in this country, you will know the name Cal Bruton. His name is synonymous with Australian basketball in this country, and it's a great honour to have him on the podcast here today. Cal's been a championship winner with the Brisbane Bullets back in 1985. He's a two-time member of the NBL All-First Team. He's won the championship, the very first championship with the Perth Wildcats in the season 1990. He's a former coach of the year. He's done so much in the sport. And to top it off, he received the honour of receiving an Order of Australia award just recently for his work in the community, particularly around and within communities in the Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander communities. So it's a great honour once again to have Cal on the show. So Cal Bruton, welcome to the More Than a Game podcast.
And thank you, David. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah. Really appreciate your time, mate. And appreciate all that you've done in the sport, which we'll come to in just a moment. I'd love to hear your story. But before we do, you may have heard the news recently of the Boomers team that's been picked for the 2020 or 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Just keen to get your thoughts on it, as I know that you follow it well and know that have been around the sport for so long, and it looks like such a great squad, probably the best we've ever had in the Australian Boomers program. Ben Simmons is there, and Matthias Thibault from the Philadelphia 76ers. What are your thoughts around the Boomers and their chances of winning the gold medal at the upcoming Olympics?
Well, this is obviously probably their best chance ever, with all the talent that's available, and all the experience that they've had before them. They've been very successful without getting a medal, really, and of course their last couple of internationals, they came really close. So I would say they're chomping at the bit, under new coaching now with Brian Gorge in there, and guys pretty hungry to be a part of that historical moment of breaking that drought and getting the medal. I think it's fantastic. They're very deep, and obviously having NBA players available, like you mentioned, the Simmons, the Patty Mills, the Dellavedovas, Joe Ingles, Aaron Baines. All those guys carry a very good reputation for not only international, but in the USA. So I think this is going to be a very, very good opportunity to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So fingers crossed. Let's see how we go. I appreciate, again, as I said, everything you've done in the sport. And but first, before we dive into your story a bit more, congratulations on the Order of Australia. It must have been a great honour to receive that. How did that come about for you?
Oh, well, I received a letter a few months back to say that I was being considered. Someone nominated me. I was told from the university and from one of the universities, and gave me a rap. And apparently, having consulted with someone that knew that person, they said that all he did was pull the trigger. And he said my body of work took care of the rest. But I'm honored and humbled. I know that I definitely, because I don't call it work, it's my love, my first love, my second love, beside my kids, my family. But I've traveled to every state and territory in Australia. I've gone to many, many Indigenous communities in those state and territories. I enjoy seeing people of color because, as you know, we're not a large number, so I always try to make a point of saying to them that I come from a predominantly black neighborhood, and to come to Australia was a bit of a challenge, and to be able to achieve this ultimate, award or honor, OAM, gives me some sort of credits of what I've put in, and I know it wasn't any lack of effort on my part. I dragged my family around with me. I played and coached throughout the country as well, pretty much in states, and and it's encouraged my kids to go do the same. So, I feel it's important, a pretty good part of my legacy for my family in the future. And I've just received today, actually, from the minister and our local minister here, and from the Governor General, my certificate.
Oh, fantastic.
Being honored. So the actual official day is May the 8th, which
Right.
I actually go in with my suit on and get my little badge. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations, mate. It's a tremendous honour for yourself. And part of the work you've been doing, as you mentioned, has been with the organisation Charity Bounce. And that was part of the reason I was keen to get you on the podcast to chat about the work they do. I've only recently discovered the organisation, but as I've dived into what they do so much good in the community, particularly with young people and Indigenous communities, as you said. There's a number of great former players involved. I saw Ben Madgen and a few others on the books there. But can you profile a bit about Charity Bounce and the great work that they do and your role with the organisation?
Well, I don't actually have a role at this point in time. I was a director of coaching, pretty much. I traveled to the Alice Springs and in Sydney and throughout New South Wales, doing programs with them. And in doing so, they, again, you called it out, they do great work in trying to assist the Indigenous communities with pathways, to health and also sport. I've been involved with mainly the coaching side of getting the kids into the fundamental trainings and then going on the trips with the team bonding with a few of the athletes you mentioned. Kevin White was another one. I was involved with a few of the young ladies as well that played in WNBL. So it's been a rewarding sort of vehicle, if you like, to reach out to those communities. I've been doing it probably, with Ian and for about 2.5 years, and then Tracy Williams came on board and pretty much replaced my role there, the former Harlem Globetrotter. So he's been doing a lot of work in Sydney. My Bruton basketball organization is probably taking that baton prior and after and during, and going to all those places, delivering, basketball clinics, and just recently, I'll be able to speak more on in a couple of weeks, but I've established the Bruton Basketball Foundation, which we hope to have a launching ceremony here soon. So that's kind of, still coming together in the final pieces of putting out our plan, but we have a brilliant board, and I'm very excited about it. And Charity Bounce has been a wonderful initiation for a lot of young coaches and what have you that don't understand the plight of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And it definitely gives you a good eye opener as to what can be done and how you can contribute. And I acknowledge that, they do work that a lot of people don't want to do, and I've always been proud to go in those communities. I've been doing this since 1988, under Kerry Stokes' banner. He had me go into the Kimberleys and the Pilbara, and from there I just enjoyed it because, as I said, I saw a lot more people of color than I had seen since I left New York. So it was a pleasure to just go into those communities. The kids knew me from seeing me on TV and what have you, and it's just become a passion, to try to help one. And Patty Mills was one of the young kids that I coached from the time he was 12 years old here in Canberra.
Wow.
Many of them I've touched. Danny Morsu was the first Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander NBL champion, and I brought him into my program in Geelong back in the mid-'80s, and helped him recover from a horrific knee injury, and got him on to our program and helped him adjust to a backcourt position, which led him into the 1984 Olympics, so in LA. So I wish I could have joined him. I thought that was going to be a little partnership there, but my eligibility didn't come through at that point, so I had to wait another couple of years and represent Australia at the World Championships. But I'm proud of the work that Charity Bounce does, and I was happy to have my time with them, and look forward to continuing in that vein. I'm sure they do too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Paddy Mills there, and that must be part of the reward and satisfaction from the program, seeing these sort of guys come through and have these aspirations, and then to see him make it in particular must, fulfill you and give you that sense of satisfaction for all the work that you do.
Oh yeah, no question about it. When he was just coming through, I used to invite him to the Camp Cannons trainings, and the guys used to get a bit of a buzz while I play him one-on-one while they doing their stretching. So, I couldn't let at that time, he's probably 14. I couldn't let him beat me in a game. I still had game, and I had a reputation to look at. So, but I also supported him. I went into the car industry, and I used to supply him with cars and make him feel good when he came back from college. So he felt like a person of respect, and he obviously, as you mentioned, he went on to do some great things, and now he's one of the only Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander player to be in the NBA at this stage. Nathan Jawa was the first, and then he's just taken the baton and ran with it for 10 years now. So it's a credit to him in the amount of work and effort under Popovich's banner in the San Antonio Spurs, which was actually one of the teams I trialed for when I was going out for the NBA and played games and exhibition seasons. And so that was back in 1977. So I just look at the scrapbook every now and then and reminisce. That's as close as I came, though, but it was pretty good. And it was a pretty good opportunity, and it kind of opened the door for me to keep going because I felt I was close. And back then there was some top guards around the place, and through my second trial, then I had an opportunity to come to Australia because someone saw me at that trial and thought that I'll be pretty good over here. So, it all worked out. But, credit to Paddy and all the young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander players that's following him and the work he's doing to try to extend that group of players to play in the league.
Absolutely. It'd be great to see more Indigenous Australians in the league, in the NBL hopefully soon. So just quickly, just around your own organisation or business that you spoke about, Cal Bruton Basketball, you're quick to point out the slogan, which is also more than a game, so which is very cool. But why is basketball more than a game for you, if I can ask you that question?
Well, as I mentioned, the word vehicle, I think, for a young person that's looking to succeed at a sport, that you can actually work on your game all by yourself. As you know, other sports require you to have someone with you, baseball or football or AFL or rugby. You can work on some skills, but you can't work on as many skills as you can with a basketball and a goal and yourself. So, it's been more than a game for me because, as my grandson put it, it's given me a base to work on an acronym, and he presented it to me when he was like 10 years old. And it was basically our name, our surname. And it was about being kind to others. And I think that's what basketball gives you, that teamwork type concept where you can create opportunities for others and make your teammates look good and feel good. And that way you're being kind to them. And the respect you learn from just the opposition, from the game, from the referees, from the coaches. You learn that word in more ways than one. And the U was to use your manners. It'll take you a long way, as you talked about initially opening the podcast, in life, when you're polite and you understand how to say yes, please, thank you, excuse me, pardon. All those things will help you along the way in your journey. And the trust in God, well, my family is Christian, and they believe in supporting the man up above, and we always feel good things come to those that do so. The O was probably one of the big ones that I was very surprised when my grandson said. He said, "Papa, you got to own your mistakes." I said, yeah, I've made a few. I said, and I did own up to them, and that's how I learned to grow, and probably indicative of me being able to receive that wonderful award last week. And the N was the blessing when he came to me and said, Dad, talking about CJ, has said to him that, your pop, one thing about him, he never gives up. So, and I always felt, I've been hammered from pillar to post, You know, I've had the rug pull out from underneath me a few times. You know, I've slept on floors. I've had to get up 4 o'clock in the morning and unload trucks. You know, this is after I've been a championship player, winning coach, and you know, and I had to jump on the postie bike and deliver the mail. But I always felt that through that little journey, it was going to always be something on the other side. So each job, I just did it the best I could. I'm the best possible person I can be, and I felt basketball was always at front of mind because, you know, I can pass those experiences on to the future basketballers and get to understand that teamwork makes the dream work. And you just gather yourself a good group of people and put them around you, and you can make some good things happen. So I'm very proud to use that vehicle, and that's why it's more than a game, because, you know, it supplies you with not only the sport as a skill set, but you also have your health. You have a healthy lifestyle in order to play it. You can't play basketball at a frantic pace and not be healthy, you know. It's also giving you the education, which is something I pride my family on and my kids, that, you know, you learn each and every step of the way while you're playing. And you also have employment opportunities out of the basketball. As you know, there's so many jobs and so many different platforms you can get into basketball, from the coaching to the managing to the refereeing to, you know, the off-court stuff is the marketing and the IT, you know, digital work. There's so many things you can get yourself into by just playing the sport. So I'm proud I chose it. I played others. I was drafted by the Major League Baseball team out of high school, college. I was going to play gridiron football as a quarterback, but I looked at the size of a few of them dudes, and I said, that's all right. Yeah. But yeah, no, basketball has just been definitely more than a game in so many ways.
Absolutely, yeah. You said it well. I love that quote, teamwork makes the dream work. It was really cool. And I think when I reflect on my time playing the sport, the reason I called the podcast that is because, yes, it is a game at the end of the day when you're playing for competition. If you lose a grand final or whatever, you know, it's more, I guess, important things going on in the world. But I guess, you know, I've learned a lot of virtues around life and leadership, hence the podcast through the sport, like teamwork, resilience, determination. There's so many things that I can apply to my life today, hence the name More Than the Game. So with that in mind, is there one key thing that you've learned from the sport that you always seek to apply to your life today?
Yes, I would say my pride. You know, no matter what anyone tried to do to me, or my pride was always on the line. I use again, strong with acronyms, I pack my pride suitcase wherever I go. And that's where, if I'm working in a primary school trying to work with some young kids, you know, I have my pride suitcase with me. I'm a persevere through whatever happens there. Again, show the respect and the resilience, as you say. I'm gonna try to always be influential, you know, and in that way you bring your positive set of mind. You can be negative. It's very easy to be that way, you know. But I noticed on my feed when the word came out that I received the OAM, everyone was talking about what a positive influence I've been. You know, each and every person I meet, you know, I greet them with a smile. You know, that's it. You know, put a smile on your dial. Even if you're hurting, you can disguise all that stuff when you're smiling. You know, so and I think the D in pride gave me my pillars of strength. You know, I was determined. You know that you just can't knock me out the box like that. You know, so I was dedicated. You know, being 5'8" with my shoes off, you know, and I had to go up against all these tough guys and big guys and talented gentlemen that played the sport, you know, as if, you know, their life depended on it. You know, I come out the other end being a Hall of Famer, you know, so, and leading the score and leading assists, and I perfected my craft. So I was dedicated. I also had the desire, you know, I coined the phrase run, stun, and have some fun. Cool. And I don't think that you can do much in life if you're not having fun at it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you're not going to be a long-lasting person if you're not happy, you know, doing what you do. And I think the last thing is that preparation. I said dedication, but preparation, the effort. I don't think anyone could put in more effort than I did. I was on the track 6 o'clock in the morning when I was 40 years old. with a stopwatch in my hand, running 400s and 200s and 100s under time, so I can play with my sons, you know. And I wanted to be on the court with CJ. I wanted to be on the court with Elliot and Austin, and that was my pride suitcase. And I wanted to let them know that they can do this too, you know. And I'm proud to say my two of my boys, CJ and Elliot, CJ and Austin, went to the States and won national championships in the junior college system in America, the NCAA. And Elliot has been here working with me for majority of the time, and he's been coaching kids all over the country, and he's played on state teams wherever we live. You know, so yeah, really, really prideful. You know, you gotta pack your pride suitcase, and that's what I would hang my hat on every day of the week.
That's very cool. And you mentioned CJ there. I'll touch on CJ in a moment, but just to dive back into the early days of your career there, you mentioned how you played college and then came out to Australia. 1979 was it? Played for the Brisbane Bullets.
Yes.
What was the league like back then, if I can ask that? I mean, today it's obviously a very professional league and it's growing and booming, which is great. But in those early days, I can imagine there was a bit of, teething problems trying to get it up and running. It wasn't as established as maybe the rugby league, AFL, those sort of codes. So what was the league like back then and playing in that era when it was first starting out?
Well, there wasn't a lot of paid employees around the place, you know. There was a lot of volunteers. And it was the first year of the league in 79. Most of the teams played out of the tin shed era where it was a 2-court stadium. And in Brisbane's case, court 2 had a barbecue going on, blowing smoke on the court 1. You know? So that was kind of different from where I was used to, coming from just playing in the NBA and playing in this New Orleans Superdome, and then you're in a tin shed, so to speak. But you know what? The basketball court is still 10 feet high, and the court is still 94 by 54. And I just felt that, you know what? I'm gonna make the most of this situation. And the beauty about it is that, you know, most of the players have worked during the day, and I was doing a schools program under Dr. David Atkins. I had to cover the schools and demonstrate the basketball skills, and that's usually in the morning. So in the afternoon, I was able to go into the gym and just shoot and work on my game. And I remember bringing out this 10-foot ladder that they had there, and I used to make my moves and shoot over the ladder, you know, because I didn't know who was who in the NBL at that point, but I just knew that I was going to be bringing it every game. And of course, David Atkins kind of threatened me that I needed to score a lot of buckets, and if I couldn't score, he might have to go find someone else. So I became Bruton, Tootin, Calvin Bruton, do all the shooting. Cool. I averaged 33 a game pretty much that first year with 40-minute clock, you know, with everybody coming after me. You know, like every time I arrive in town, the headlines of the papers, here's the brilliant Negro God, here's Black Magic, here's Black Flash. You know, then finally the Black Pearl came about. I kind of like that, so it's, you know, I went and got me a chain made up with a little Black Pearl on it. You know, so
that's awesome.
So the game grew. It was a very much it had 10 teams. It's got 10 teams. Got more teams than it has now in the league. Hopefully, Tasmania's coming in next year to make it 10. But next year, I moved to Geelong because they offered me to bring my family back and 2 of my mates that can play. And of course, in Victoria, they had Nunawading and the St. Kilda Saints, who were 2 of the top teams in the National League. And then Coburg Giants came in, and Frankston Bears, and before you knew it, Melbourne Tigers. So before you knew it, you had all the Victorian teams that were tough. You know, they had tough players. You know, everyone had 2 imports except Melbourne we had 3, and Melbourne had 5. You know, Andrew Gaze had the opportunity of playing with 5 other Americans. So that's how his game, I think, progressed so quickly. But it was a tough competition. So the VBA was probably as tough as the NBL, you know, and I was able to become a player coach. So I got really involved in the game, and, you know, the scouting and the preparation. And back then, all the players had to work, you know, 9 to 5 jobs and then come to practice after that. So, you know, a lot of guys train twice a week, for 3 hours. I couldn't hack it when I was the player going to Geelong. So I just changed it from training twice a week for 3 hours each session to 1 hour, 5 days a week. And 2 of those hours would be on the track. So we actually go on a physical running track, and we'll run the mile run, then we'll do the relays, and then we'll do the sprints, and got my team in really good shape, and we won 15 straight games, my first year in the NBL with Geelong. So I was pretty proud to be a part of that very foundation, what could I call it, foundation growth of the NBL, because, at one point it had 17 teams. They had to break it into 2 divisions, East and the West. And it was tough, like you had a team like Owen Wells, and they had 4 Americans. They were the first team that had 4 Black Americans. And what came about then was that, every time Herb McKeitson was the first Black American I played against. And that was the very first game. And he's one of my best friends. And I said to him, I said, "You see anyone else around here, man?" He goes, "Nah, I just arrived too." And then we played each other in the second last game of the year. I said, "Did you see anybody?" He said, "Nah, man, it's just us." So that was kind of an interesting sight. But then every year after that, they brought out Americans to match up with us. Before you know it, we had a Black American community playing basketball here, Benny Lewis's, the Al Greens, the late Norman Taylor, Mike Jones. I can waddle off a whole bunch of guys, And, of course, if you look at that Hall of Fame list, for the NBL, you'll see quite a number of Black Americans in there. So very proud to be one of the first. To help basketball grow, I think we all had our hand in trying to teach the game to not only our teammates, but also in the communities and going to the schools. And to this day, I still do that. And I've been here 42 years, so I just started a primary school program, that I still go to. So the kids look up to me. But I'll bring the goals down so I can go dunk on them and stuff. But that's the fun part, And I think NBL, like you mentioned, is very professional now. And at the same time, I hate to hear when they say, "Oh, this is the best ever," and all that. You know what? I've had a couple of years in the league where there's some teams there that were very, very good. Adelaide 36ers, coached by Ken Cole. There was Sydney Supersonics, coached by. These are some tough teams. And, I think that, you can't compare eras, obviously, too closely. But, in my own mind, I would put the teams I played on match up with these teams any day. So I'll just leave it at that for the ones that want to argue that point a little further.
I think what you mentioned about the players coming out here from the States and the imports, it's really, I think, been beneficial for this sport in Australia too, because, as you said, there's so many that have made their lives over here and they've had kids and they've been brought up in Australia, like your own CJ and Benny Lewis, as you mentioned, another one coming through. So many of them played in the NBL and now they're Australians, and I think we're reaping the benefits of that. Ben Simmons, another one. So in terms of imports coming out here, it's obviously a great destination for, I guess, those who probably just can't make the NBA or kids coming out of college. Do you have much of an inclination of what the what is said about the NBL over there and the impression of the NBL in the States?
Obviously, the news media, the social media, the connection now with summer leagues for all the NBL players and coaches. The Larry Kesselman's move to actually have our NBL teams go play against the NBA teams in preseasons. We got a pretty good rap. The going phrase is, that we're the second best league in the world. I'm not one to compare, that, but, I played in Europe, and I find the European players very, very good and fundamentally sound. But, we're having upward 9, 10 maybe players in the NBA. It's a credit to our small population and what we do here. Our girls is just off the charts. terms of being the best in the world. You know, we've produced, you know, wonderful players, and Lauren Jackson, and of course, look with Sandy Brondello, who was one of my students in Brizzy, shooting over the ladders, the 10-foot ladders. You know, she worked out with me many a time. So I believe that, yes, we do have a strong reputation, particularly having the AIS, or the COE as it's called now, the NBA Global Academy, and every single player. I still get mail guys asking me, could you get me on the squad? Could you help a brother out? You know, they want to go play, and we got NBL 1, and we got the state leagues, and so I believe that we do have a wonderful system, you know, in the club and associations, so kids can start playing at an early age in Aussie hoops, and coming through that to playing in a local league, and then representing their state, and then on to representing the country if they're really good enough. So yes, I can see us being the second best league in the world, but at the same time, you know, I think that'll come out in August when we win a medal, then we can really claim our place. But yes, I'm very proud of all the Australians that have gone on to raise the bar. And I know when I came here, there was no NBA players, you know, and Luke Longley and Andrew Vlahov were two players that I tried to keep in Perth when I received the job opportunity from Bob Williams in 1986. And they said they were going to New Mexico and Stanford respectively. And I thought, oh man, that's okay. Well, you're going to miss out. But then both of them come back and represent the country, you know, at a high level. Matter of fact, they came back and knocked me out of the Australian team when I looked at it, you know, in '88, you know, when they had their best finish ever or something. So you can't argue with that success. But yeah, I'm really, really proud of Australian basketball and I know it started, and where we're sitting in the sphere of things right now.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear. Hopefully we do get to that level and be the second best league in the world. Would be fantastic. You mentioned Perth there. You actually won the championship, their first ever, or part of the first ever championship of the Perth Wildcats, 1990. You mentioned, you know, it was an honour to be part of the early stage of the NBL and be part of the reputation that it's built. What about the Perth Wildcats winning their first championship, being a part of that organisation, and very much setting the standard for what is today one of the world's premier sporting organisations, arguably. But what was that experience like, coaching the Perth Wildcats to their first championship?
It was fantastic. It was a wonderful challenge. You know, they had never had a winning season when I arrived there, and Bob Williams, who was a yachting, and he was a builder. He was a builder. He had his own construction company. But he loved the water. He loved the yachts. You know, the Sydney Hobart race, he was always in it. But he asked me just flat out if I can put a team together that can win the chip. You know, and he had seen me lose the championship against the Adelaide 36ers whilst I was playing for the Brisbane Bullets. So it came down to King Cole and I getting that job there, and Bob chose me. So I was pretty happy to come in and build a team. And he gave me a check, $100,000. And said, put a team together. And as you know, $100,000 is not even enough for one player these days. So that's more 1987, trying to put a team together. As I mentioned, we still had a lot of players working full time and then coming to practice afterwards. So I said, yes, I can do it. And I immediately got on the phone to the players I knew. I was able to get James Crawford, who I played with in Geelong and brought out here. And he had gone through a knee injury, and I had actually stuck with him, and we worked him back like we did Danny Marsul, because we had a brilliant off-court conditioning and health team there. And then I brought Tiny Pinder, who I needed someone big and strong, but Roland Brooks was in the mix, who I really like. He had played the year before, and he was one of the highest jumpers in Australian basketball history. This guy could just sprint. And then I took my old teammate that I played with in Brisbane, Dan Hickett, who was a naturalized Australian. He was 6'10", and he could stand in the middle. But Steve Davis from Frankston came across, and he was a very good player. And then we signed all the locals pretty much back again. You know, Mike Ellis was the captain, and Alan Black was there, and Eric Watterson, and Trevor Torrance. So we had a pretty good nucleus of young players, but they, in my opinion, they didn't know how to win because they hadn't won, you know, and I was used to winning. You know, I had won 2 VBA championships, a CEBO championship, the NBL championship. You know, I was like, sure, I'm about winning. Let's go, you know. So I got the guys again. My favorite thing to take them on the track. Let's get straight, you know. Found out who was fast, and that's when the run stunt and have some fun. Because all them dudes could outrun me. To Tiny, James, Trevor, Torres. They were quick dudes, you know. Like Craig Fitzsimmons. You know, we had a really nice team. I brought in James Jackson, one of the brothers. He couldn't play with us. He was in Minnesota playing college basketball and was one of the top players. He had moved here, and I had played against him in Brisbane. And, man, he was a tough guy, but he was living in Perth. So I said, even if you don't play, you can be in our training squad. You know? So he was in there making sure Tiny and James was honest. You know, so we pushed through. We went on to finish off in the grand final. We lost it to Brisbane, my old team, which was really disappointing. You know, but the next year we progressed. We played in the semi. We finished. I think we finished 4th or something like that. But we went on to finish in the semis. And North Melbourne Giants was our nemesis. Became our nemesis. They bumped us off in the best of 3, and then we went the next year. Bob Williams and Kerry Stokes asked me to step down as coach, and because they felt I was a player coach, too much pressure. So I became a player general manager. They elevated me to the general manager's role so I can actually build the team. Whereas I brought in Paul Kuiper, and also wanted us to get stronger off the court. So that's where I'd like to think the Perth Wildcats business side really took hold, in that we went to the States after I met Magic Johnson and Jerry West, and they invited me to bring the team over to Hawaii. And I packed it, you know, came back, told Bob and Kerry that I have this opportunity. They wanted to back and support it. And they said, yeah, we'd like to do that. Players had to pay a little nominal fee, and bang, off we went to Hawaii. And it was fabulous. You know, it was, we landed there. We watched the Lakers, who were on their way to a back-to-back, watched them prepare, got a chance to sit down with Mitch Kupchak and Jerry West, and how they run the off-court side. So that was me. But after the 3rd day, my mom passed away. So I was on my way to the States. My little sister's wedding, probably the saddest part of my life at that point. I had to bury my mom and then get my sister off on her wedding and her new life, and then come back to the team, which now is being coached by Alan Black. So we've changed the whole dynamics, the way it was going to be run. So now I'm coming in as a player, and I wanted to be that player that listened to the coach and everything he said, so I could be that example. And then I can put my hat on and be the general manager and sit down with these guys and say, yo, now we want to make sure that you look after off the court as well. You know, and we were able to secure $1 million contracts that I was signing up, which I was really proud of that. And then we brought Mitch Kupchak and Michael Cooper to Perth. So Mitch can help us put our off court, and Michael helped us with our defense. Michael Cooper, as you know, he was renowned for his defensive play. And it took us 2 more years. So in 1990, we won the first championship after I came back in to take over from Alan Black. Bob and Kerry made a decision, what they call their business decision, and sacked Alan Black, and then told me on the day that, did you bring your sneakers? No, I got my suit on. Like, I'm gonna bring sneakers. You know, well, we need you to come down to training today. And while we tell the team that, you know, and of course the word was out. Alan had already told all the guys, and, you know, needless to say, he wasn't very happy about it. But, you know, the owners made that decision that the team wasn't going to be able to go the next step. And they asked me to go in there, and then we had our bumpy road too, but we were able to come through in the end and win the chip. So that was the first one. Of course, I went and recruited Ricky Grace and brought him back, and now we have Pete Hansen, who became a naturalized Australian, played with us the second year. I was the general manager for the next 7 months. I probably, in hindsight, maybe should have stayed on as the GM to see it through, but you know, my passion was to coach, and I really wanted to coach then. I thought it was unfair I didn't get a chance to at least defend the title, and I actually put it to the owners that, okay, give me a chance to defend it. If we don't win it again, then you can go get Pat Riley for all I care. But give me a chance, and they wouldn't do it. So that was kind of, Bob wanted to do it, Kerry not so much. So that was kind of, a little tug of war there. But Bob was having trouble with his business, so Kerry was really taking ownership of the team. So, he called the shot. And I stayed on as GM until Hobart rang me to say that there was a coaching opportunity. There was a ownership opportunity there as well, if I would be interested. And it kind of perked my interest because I came to Perth when they were near the bottom, on the bottom, and now I'm going to Hobart and they're on the bottom. So it seems like the only opportunities available to me is when you're on the bottom.
Work your way up.
Yeah. So, you got to have resources. You got to have support in order to make those things happen. So it was definitely a team effort. It wasn't about me and what I was able to do, but I felt I was a catalyst behind just pressing buttons and trying to put people in the right positions to succeed. And as it turned out, Perth won the back-to-back with Murray Arnold coming in, and then they was on to their next era, but they lost that year, I think, and they replaced him with Adrian Hurley. And then my son CJ came in under that regime. So, I was really proud of what we were able to achieve in Perth, and to see them now with 10 championships, as you mentioned, one of the most successful franchises in the world. Knowing that I was a part of that foundation makes me feel pretty proud.
Yeah, no doubt. And from there you went to Hobart, as you said. When I started following the league, you were at Canberra and coaching your son CJ there, Canberra Cannons. But obviously there's a lot of highs in sport and professional sport. There's a lot of lows. And I guess the folding of the Canberra Cannons was one of those. But you're also part in, some people probably don't remember this, but I do. Because I was a West Sydney Razorbacks fan. You actually came and coached them for a period of time, and just before they folded pretty much. So what were those experiences like? There's been,
okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I cut you off there.
Yeah.
The Canberra Cannons one was very sad, because
massively.
Yeah, we were. I felt we had to go. We had a team that could win the championship that year. I think the NBL made a boo-boo, and they really didn't see it that way until they saw us coming home with a wet sail. And I believe they just purposely didn't want us to win, so they had to put an asterisk next to our name, get us out of there. I tried to buy the team to keep the team together. I had support, and the league wouldn't give me the opportunity, but they would give it to some guy which never had nothing to do with the league and give him a chance, and that just really turned me off the basketball. I was probably, again, one of my saddest moments, but we had a situation where the year before we finished near the bottom of the ladder, and I think we were second last, and Cairns was last. So what the league tried to do to give us a little lift was that we were allowed 3 imports.
Right.
And that's when I went to Michigan State to meet with Magic and Tom Izzo, the coach at Michigan State, who had coached these young athletes, David Thomas, Mike Chappelle, and then I went and recruited a young man from Louisiana State named Reginald Poole. These 3 guys were athletes, all about 6'7", 6'8", jump out the gym, hit the outside shot, dunk on you in the flash, And we became with CJ and Brendan Mann, who were national players, and also Brad Williams and the team was just loaded with talent, and we worked hard. We were not – so we had to play Sydney, who they thought they were going to be the team to beat. Gordon was in there, and we slapped them up a few times, in the preseason and then on into the regular season. We then organized a bye in our schedule so we can go to States and play against Michigan State.
Which Magic played in, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, and that was a huge game. And I would say, explain the Magic our situation. So interesting that a few of the owners were flying over too, because they wanted to make sure that, they were a part of this, even though behind the scene they were really ready to throw us under the bus, which they eventually did, And that was, like I said, it was really sad. I actually went up to a meeting in the Gold Coast to beg those guys, give me a chance. Just give me a chance to do it. they wouldn't even let me in the meeting initially, you know, and I don't want to call out any names, but to this day, this dude was stopping me at every point, you know. And I kind of came back and I was really livid, you know, that, man, I paid my hard-earned to put myself in this position. I done paid dues, and I can't get a chance from the league or from the guy who was running this league, and so to speak. So we ended up folding, and then the team left to go to Newcastle under some banner, the Hunters, which was just ugly.
Yeah,
and
the Pirates. It's a terrible name.
Yeah. Well, the dude was a pirate too. The dude that was running it, you know, like. And he ended up slipping out of the country, owing the government millions and the whole bit. So I just thought, you know, it was a bad taste. And I really, at that point, had to get away from the game. I went into the car industry at that, you know, not really having a choice. I didn't want to pack up and go to another club. But they were ready to sell us to New Zealand before they gave us a chance to keep an iconic team here in Canberra. These two guys come rolling in talking about they just bought the team, and for me to sort of don't say anything to the players, I'll talk to them about them packing up and coming to New Zealand next year. I said, good luck with that. You know? And eventually they did the right thing. They went and got their own team, you know, to put in. And but yeah, the West Sydney situation was that, you know, the coach at the time taking over from Gordy McLeod. He, I can't even think his name now.
Mark Hawkins. Wacko.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mark.
I know Wacko well.
God bless him. I should not forget Mark's name. He's been a stalwart of the game.
Got to get him on the podcast. Next
yeah, good on you.
Yeah.
But he, you know, he had reached a point where the team didn't hear his voice, and I got the call from the GM at the time asking me would I be interested to come down, and I just had a little born son. So I was like, well, he said, well, please let us know we'd like you to be the guy to take us forward. So I was commuting back and forth from Canberra, you know, coaching West Sydney. And that year, we struggled right out the blocks. They had lost 9, 10, 11 straight from the jump. And then I extended it probably another 5 games. So we lost 15, 16 games in a row. And that was disheartening, you know, to see. But then we started to come good. We changed guys, changed their roles. And we beat Sydney Kings by 30 in the last game while they were preparing for the playoffs. You know?
Oh yeah, I forgot about
that. Yeah. We gave them a good touch up. You know, so in my mind, man, that showed what we're capable of. Now let's get some imports in here. Now let's get going. But then they told me to put in a resume for the job. I said, what? A resume? They said, yeah. We got new owners and they want to see your resume. I said, well, you can tell them, you know, I just did an audition flat out. You don't, and go do your own research. You know, so again, I'm always getting the opportunity for a bottom team, and if I take them to a good spot, they want to replace you with someone else. So I felt that was a bit of a backlash, you know, being one of the only black coaches in the league. Didn't want me to get another start, so that was kind of a little discriminatory to me, and therefore I felt I needed to walk away from the game, you know. But I didn't walk away entirely. That's when I went to my kids, you know, because I think the kids don't have any of that in them. So I started coaching the junior kids and local clubs and
that's great.
Running my little clinics, and they brought the love back to me in the game, just trying to build them up. So that's been the challenge. But West City, they went on under Rob Beveridge and folded. People still say to themselves, Cal coached these teams and they folded. Well, Bill Tomlinson coached Hobart their last games and 2 years after. And of course, I think same with Rob Beveridge. He coached the West Sydney West Stars until they finished. So yeah, that was my little role. And after that, I really didn't get any opportunities to coach again. So I thought, let me just try to get Cannons revived again. And then I can be behind the scenes and the managing side of it. But we always ran into some hurdles there.
Yeah, for sure. If there's a new team in the NBL coming up, hopefully it's in Canberra. That's my pick. I think it'd be great to have a team back down there. Would you get involved if that did eventuate?
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm here, you know, and I felt always that, you know, Canberra's capital city is just a real, what do you call it? Real blotch on the record books that now have a team in the capital city. Particularly,
Yeah.
I heard someone say, "Oh, there's not enough talent." And, well, you got the NBA Global Academy here. You got Center of Excellence, the best young kids in the country. In the past, that's where Cameron used to recruit all their players from. Their top 2 players would come right into the cannons and join in with the veterans. I have no doubt we got coaches here. The head of the NBA Global Academy, Marty Clark. I'm sure, and Adam Capehorn, who's been interviewing for jobs. So you can't say we don't have coaching talent here as well.
That's right.
I believe there's an opportunity to get corporate funding here too. We got some strong international connections here through government and what have you. So there's no reason why. I mean, our stadium is a little dilapidated at the AIS. That would need some redoing. But for the most part, I can't see no reason why there couldn't be a professional team here, or NBL team here in Canberra.
Yeah, I agree. Well, just finally, mate, I could talk to you all day. So much to talk about, but I just want to touch on CJ, and obviously you're a family man and the kids, and it obviously would have been hugely rewarding for yourself to see CJ reach the level that he did. Obviously, I'd love to touch on his career, but the key question I want to ask you about is, I guess as a dad, with the success you've had and the time in the sport that you had, it can be so easy for, and you hear about it so often, that dads that may have made it in the league or any sport and their sons are coming through, there can be this pressure put on the kids to follow in their father's footsteps or their mother's footsteps. Were you aware of that pressure, not trying to pass it on to your kids, or was that something that you maybe in hindsight thought maybe I shouldn't have put the pressure on them? Is there any thoughts around the importance of not putting pressure on your kids to follow in footsteps? Or I guess for myself, with young children playing the sport, like I'm conscious of not trying to pressure them to play the sport as much as I'd love them to. But yeah, did you find that was an issue for you as they grew up?
No, not at all. No, they wanted to be around me, and most of the time they were floor wipers, during the game. And CJ used to say to me, doing a transition game, I'll hit the floor and he'll come up to wipe all the sweat. He'll look at me, you need to pull your socks up. And I'll look, and my socks are already up. This little 6-year-old gonna tell me to pull my socks. Like, in other words, lift your game. But no, he loved it. He loved it from day one. And my whole thing was all about the love of the game. I never ever forced them to train, but they saw me train. So they'll come out and follow me and do things with me. And then in our young family, we used to play a lot of one-on-one. So I'll play CJ and Elliot will play Austin, and then we'll swap like a tennis, and then we'll play the 2-on-2, and they learned a lot. We used to try to. CJ was learning fast because he would play with Austin, the 2 youngest against the 2 oldest, and we used to have fun trying to beat, bulldoze him a little bit, make him stronger. But he was quick as from a young age, and he matured really fast, and he had a genuine love for the game, and a thirst for knowledge. Like he took that, right, as you mentioned, everything I did, he crushed, right? 6 championships and, Captain Australia, and he's been a coach of the Boomers, assistant coach of the Boomers. He's coached at every level, left the country, played in New Zealand, helped them raise the flag 3 straight times, he's very, very proud of him. And he's got the 3 of the most gorgeous sons that made me think of the 3 boys I brought, the 3 I had early in the piece, So no, he and Elliot and Austin have all and continue to put work into the basketball community. CJ obviously is just at the top of the tree, but he does so many other things on the high school level, the state league level, does the individual coaching. He's always helping someone. We got a long line of people that we've just extend the olive branch to and passed on their way. We got kids on scholarships in the U.S., that we never talk about. We just let it go. And that's why I felt it was important to establish this foundation so that things can become more forward. But at the end of the day, I'm really, really proud of my family and their contribution to the game. CJ reaching the point of being assistant coach for the Australian team. I'm hoping that he gets a Guernsey under the new look, because he's put in, and he's a clever mind. He's a great scout, He loves teaching the game. The players that play for him adore him, you know, and I just believe that if given the opportunity, he can do some real good things in a supporting role. And hopefully one day he will be a head coach, you know. Yeah, my son Austin is coaching at high school over in Western Australia and helping those young kids with employment opportunities and stuff through his work. And Elliot is with the PCYC. He was with the Tyree Tornadoes, but he's in the country league. So he's doing some fabulous things as well. So really proud of that whole Bruton clan. My son Dante and Brooklyn are now representing the ACT. They both play for me here.
It's cool.
I do push them a little bit. Yeah, they both Brooklyn's 17, Dante's 14. They're both playing under 19s, and we went to the grand final and lost last year. They were devastated, you know. But I was proud. I was like, yo, you got here, you know. Like, and it's a life lesson. You got to learn how to lose before you can win. Sometimes, you know.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm really proud. My daughter, you know, she's just there to support us, and my wife. So yeah, I'm keen. My grandson's going to be a pretty good player. CJ's older boy, Rio. So yeah, we're dedicated to the game, and I'm proud to say that, you know, the NBL has given me an opportunity to be on their rap working group. I've been able to do some things with them to try to expand this in Indigenous opportunities.
That's good.
And I probably, not to blow my own trumpet because you sound out of tune to your listeners, you know, but I know that I've put in a lot in the communities and seen some great kids there, but unfortunately the support system hasn't been there, and now the NBL are prepared to put that support system in place. So I'm kind of looking forward to being a part of that in the not so distant future.
That's fantastic. Good on you, mate. It's a great legacy. I really appreciate your time today, Cal, and all the best for the future. But thank you for joining us on the More Than a Game podcast.
Thank you, Dan, and good luck with the More Than a Game. As I said, I got that. I wear it all the time, you know, on my T-shirts.
Awesome, mate. Take care. Thank you.
All right, bud. You too now.